So, jumping right into the questions, what made you want to work in the field you were working in, and how did you choose your career path?
Very good. Well, my career right now, I'm the director of Parks and Recreation. I've been in Parks and Recreation for almost 30 years, and I think it chose me. I didn't necessarily choose Parks and Recreation. I got my degree in accounting, and so my parents and my brother, they're all CPAs, and I was supposed to be a CPA. And while I was going to school, I was working part-time for the Parks and Recreation Department. I was pool manager, umpire. I worked at the golf course, and then at that point in time, I said, "That's the job that I want." So, public service, the gratification of delivering great things for the public and taking care of the public is a big part of it, and it's fun for the most part. There's things that aren't necessarily fun sometimes, but the idea of providing services to the public and at first, everybody thinks about Parks and Recreation as just swim and gym and sports, but there's so much more, and the diversity of my job is incredible. I do HR, I work with law department, I work with the media, I do public construction projects. It goes on and on and on. So the diversity of my job is what's really exciting.
That's awesome. Can you please describe your typical work day and work week?
As I mentioned, it's very diverse. It's kind of crazy. I got so many things up in the air. So a typical work week involves working with the mayor and council on new initiatives, working with strong interest in the community about making improvements, whether it's adding more programming or finding ways to have a better impact on the community, health and wellness wise. It's very diverse. I mean, I've worked on everything from a mobile food vendor that goes to our parks, to creating health and wellness programs, to developing construction projects that are going to be centered around sports and athletics or health and fitness type stuff. It's just a lot of different things, and that's why my job is so much fun.
Good. So I guess this kind of answers that. What excites you most about your job would be it being different every day, or is there other things?
I think that's a big part of it, that there's a lot of different things going on, but I think being a leader and having an impact on not just the community, but my staff. I have a lot of fun mentoring my staff, getting them exposed and educated to what's happening throughout the city, trying to break silos, not just in our department and not just in our organization, but throughout the city. So this morning I had a meeting with Visit Wichita and talking about what could we do about doing a ladies golf tournament. I found out about 6 months ago that the LPGA, the Ladies Professional Golf Association, was created here in Wichita.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And we don't celebrate that. And how could we celebrate that? Well, let's have an LPGA tournament come here. And so how can we do that? And of course, these are all things that kind of float down to the foundation of what we're doing in regards to our pillars. Our three pillars are social equity, health and wellness, and protection of natural resources. And in the big scheme of things, we're looking at ways of having a stronger impact in the community. So if we bring a LPGA tournament here that has an economic impact, but also give opportunity for young girls to learn about golf, and maybe we get them active in playing more golf. So all these things connect.
I agree. So do you feel like you make a difference or an impact on people, and if so, what specific areas of our population do you affect?
I think our department makes a huge impact. I have this argument with the police chief all the time. He says his department's the most important. And I tell the fire chief as well, I said, the Parks and Recreation Department is the most important department that we have. Of course, I'm very biased, but here's my story why. Is because we cover every single square inch of the city, and we take care of people from cradle to death. We manage cemetery space. Wow, somebody's got to take care of the cemeteries. Well, we do. And we have prenatal classes, and we also have classes for very young infants and mothers to learn how to take care of their kids. From birth to death, we take care of it all. So, and everything in between, whether it's fencing classes, we have pumpkin carving classes right now for Halloween, obviously seasonally themed, but we've had beekeeping classes. How do you take care of bees? And that has an impact on your fruits and vegetables and your flowers that you have at your house. So all interconnected, and so I think we just have a really strong impact across the whole city. But of course, we also focus on some of the areas that are less fortunate, folks that need extra attention and programming, and so we definitely focus on those areas as well.
Good. If you could give one piece of advice to someone who is going down your career path, what would it be and why?
Always stay positive. There's always setbacks, and some folks always seem to take those things personally, and I do at first. And I have to remind myself to take a step back, and some of the disappointments, or we might not have reached our goal, isn't always a mark of failure, but it's also a foundation to keep moving forward. And so you learn from your mistakes, and you try harder, and you try different ways. So I often see a lot of folks get disappointed, whether it's in my career path or other people's career paths. They get frustrated, and they might not get all the wins or the immediate wins that they want or expect. But take a step back, learn from those, and that becomes a foundation to build from and go different directions. And that I have to remind myself of that every once in a while too. Yeah,
definitely. If you had the opportunity to experience your career path over again, what would you do differently, if anything at all?
So I've had to get to the position I'm at right now. I've had to move around a little bit. I've gone to a couple, 4 different cities, but at each one of those I've moved up and had an impact. That part I wouldn't change, but what I've taken from that, I wish I would have taken more information with me. I wish it's been hard to keep some of those relationships as you move forward and still connect with those folks that you had a strong impact in the past. And I wish I was able to do that a little bit more, but just because of the time constraints and demands, it gets a little bit harder, and you get focused more on the future than what you made the impact on the past. But it's always fun when one of your former employees or one of your colleagues, I've had citizens from other cities call me and tell me what's happening, and knowing that I've had that impact, that's a great feeling.
That's good. Question number 7 is, what personal qualities or abilities are important to being successful in your career?
So I think it's being adaptable. There's not any one way to make things happen, and the environment changes so quickly. The players change, the circumstances change. You have to learn how to adapt within all those. So working within the city, there's a lot of folks in the city that have major impact, but you want to get involved with those, but they might leave. Their perceptions might change. You need to make sure that you can adapt within those constraints and find other ways to make things happen. So again, it's just looking at the problem from 4, 5, 6 different angles, and it's never just one way to solve a problem, but being very adaptable.
I would agree, that's a good quality. How do you see jobs in this field changing your future and others' futures?
So, relating Parks and Recreation to health and wellness, I see that there's a stronger need and impact for health and wellness education in the community, reaching out to some of the disadvantaged neighborhoods and implementing programs where there's healthy eating programs, or we have some food deserts. Hence, that's one of the things that we've been working on, is getting these mobile food trucks to these areas and using the parks as a place to stage and sell from. So I think everybody thinks about Parks and Recreation as just swim and gym,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a lot of other things that we impact the community in the social fabric. And so I think people to be successful, to move forward, um, our industry is changing a little bit, and how we provide services through municipal government is changing as well. So I think it's learning how the municipal government works, how we impact the community and what's best for the community, and then um, uh, learning those health and wellness aspects that's being expected for us to deliver. It's not enough just to provide swim lessons at our swimming pools, but to have a good impact, we need to go out to some of the apartment buildings that have swimming pools and teach swimming lessons there,
Mm-hmm.
and because they're not going to come to our swimming pool. So that has a huge impact in regards to the health and wellness and of those folks. They get to learn a skill that's going to not only be good for them to exercise, but also be safer around water. So we have to think beyond just our constraints.
Mm-hmm. Is there a time or a person you have encountered that you made a difference in their lives, or they made a difference or an impact on yours that you can tell me about?
I got both, and I'm going to tell you first about my first boss.
Mm-hmm.
Huge, upbeat, positive guy. I learned so much from him, and he really taught me the difference between just coming to work and doing the job, but also committing yourself to making doing a great job. And I still talk to him to this day, ask him for advice. He checks up on me, it makes me feel really good. He's always checking out our website and all the programs that we're doing. Just recently we did our Open Streets event. Did you happen to attend?
I couldn't know.
Oh, did you hear about it?
Was it last night?
Open Streets was about 2 weeks ago. We closed down Douglas.
Wait, I was actually working that.
There you go.
Yep, I was working at Ziggy's.
Okay.
Yep.
And so when we're doing these things, my old boss still checks up on me and calls me up and says that you did a good job on that,
Mm-hmm.
or I love these ideas and stuff like that. So that's always he's just made a great impact, and everybody needs somebody to cheer for them and support them.
Definitely.
So in return, I like to do the same thing, and so I think I've had a major impact on some of my employees, mentoring them and teaching them, getting them to have some skills, and not just here in Wichita, but at some of my former jobs. I've had some of my employees move on to become Parks and Recreation directors or significant jobs. And I think a lot of it's from the things that we were able to work together on, and I was able to teach them and support them. So that's what's really exciting to me. I should have been a college professor, but somehow I ended up doing this.
Why do you think that your service is so valuable to society?
So our department is a community creator. We have a huge impact on the positive aspects of the community. The things that we do provide recreational activities, entertainment, opportunities for people to grow and learn, leisure activities. We need parks. We need activities to keep us active, whether it's a sport or whether it's one of our community classes that we have. We have cooking classes and all these things. These are all things that create a positive community. It's all about quality of life. So I think we have a huge impact on the quality of life here in Wichita because we create these communities. So that's pretty exciting, and my staff really buys into that. They know the things that we do really make a difference.
Okay. I am personally out of questions. Do you have anything else that you would like to say?
I think it's just been great since I've come to Wichita to be involved with the health and wellness community. A lot of folks, I'm going to say this again, you think that all we do is just play softball and have swimming pools, but there is so much more that we do and can provide. But having this connection with the main players, whether it's people that make the healthy food policies, tobacco-free policies as well, which is something that we're working on in our parks, is trying to turn our parks to become tobacco-free. It's important to have all this interconnection. We wouldn't have been able to do the Open Streets event, have 30,000 people down on Douglas and close down Douglas for 5 hours if we didn't have that connection with some of the major players through health and wellness, because we got some grants to help us with that. We had some sponsors from the medical community sponsor us on that too. So I've just been really excited to learn a little bit more about this and incorporate it into our portfolio, the things that we do.
Very interesting.